Alright guys, it is wishlist season. It is time to compile the things that we want to see in NHL 23. Now what I want to do, just like last year, is every couple days release a video where I go through all of your comments and address them with, the background information that I have just as a game changer and talking with EA, and if that's a realistic expectation from the feedback that you guys are giving. I think this is the best way that I can get my community's thoughts all together, and we can at least address some of the main issues in NHL and see if we can help improve in them. Before we get into it, obviously, number one, without saying anything, is cross-console. Obviously, cross-console needs to happen. The fracture into 4 separate games and markets made NHL 22 one of the worst releases in the last 10 years of the franchise. And again, this is specifically for Hockey Ultimate Team, but World of Chell, same thing. With the player base cut into 4, it's just extremely difficult. This also includes cross-market, which absolutely killed Hockey Ultimate Team's longevity. The game died much earlier because there was just no one to actually put cards onto the market where you can actually use the cards that they're releasing. With that being said, guys, make sure you leave your comments on the things that you would like to see in NHL 23 and subscribe for the most up-to-date news, tips, and info for NHL 23 in the coming months. All right, let's get into it. Here are the top 5 things I would like to see in NHL 23. All right, let's start first with really the only substantial change from NHL 21 to 22, and that's XFactors. I think they were actually a pretty cool addition to the game. I just think that the progression of the XFactors throughout the year was not addressed, much like many of the issues within the NHL game when it comes to Hockey Ultimate Team. And what you ended up with is extremely expensive cards that returned nowhere near the same value that you're putting in. Now, let's assume that XFactors are back for the next foreseeable future in NHL, and I, to be honest, hope they are, because without them, if they were removed, NHL 22 is legitimately just a useless game in the franchise. That being said, the upgrade system for XFactors, the tier system, was a nice addition to NHL 22. The major issue is that once you got to the actual X-Factor ability, so Austin Matthews, for example, getting the 88 overall, and him having the shock and awe ability, almost all of the X-Factors at the beginning of the game had zone abilities that made sense. They, shock and awe does make sense for Austin Matthews. He has that lethal toe drag wrist shot. He's become known for it. However, as the game goes along, that's an ability that's less and less sought after, and if you want to use it, that's phenomenal. That's fine. If you enjoy using the zone ability, that's great. However, what should happen, and the biggest change to make X-Factors actually useful throughout the entire year and not just a card that you can turn into a Team of the Season, a Team of the Year card, because really, that's what X-Factors became. What needs to happen is customizable zone abilities. So, I'll give you an example. Let's say Austin Matthews has a play of the year moment where he holds off 2 players, drives towards the net, and is able to score. His team of the week card comes out, or his play of the month card comes out, and he has Unstoppable Force as a zone ability. If you have Austin Matthews' X Factor, you should then unlock Unstoppable Force as a choosable option for your zone ability. What that will do is allow you to mix and match and make sure that the X Factor that you've got isn't just kind of thrown away if you are someone who plays the game competitively, as well as allows X Factor cards to become fresh if they are able to have impactful zone abilities unlocked throughout the year because they are unlocked by something they actually did in-game. I think this is a must for X Factors, and honestly, if it doesn't happen, I don't see how X Factors are going to be exciting or even usable, worth it at all in NHL 23, and I pray that we get customizable X-Factor ability. Number 4 is going to be collections for every team. Now, I believe you have to go all the way back to NHL 17 or 18. The last time that you collected every single player base card for every team, you actually got a collection reward that had a specific player. For example, I believe the Ottawa Senators had Wade Redden. You'd be able to collect that icon or that legend by collecting every card in the game. Now, this year, what they did with team builders is a step in the right direction, and what they did was by allowing it to be random cards and not specific ones, it stopped the price gating that would happen back in those games. Now, here is the issue. When you cash in these cards, they are gone, which means they are nothing more than set fodder. What I would love to see is a collection system based on MLB where you collect every single card for that team and you unlock an icon, yet you keep all of the cards that you cash in. So let's say the Edmonton Oilers. Okay, you have to collect base Connor McDavid. base Leon Draisaitl, and all of the rest of the Edmonton Oilers. That is going to cost significant resources, especially early on in the game, because Connor McDavid holds his value unlike any other base card. But what you will get is a reward that is tied to the cost of the collection. For example, if you collect all of the Edmonton Oilers, you unlock a low to mid-90s Mark Messier. Yet you don't lose Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl's base card. If you have them tradable, you purchase them on the auction house, you lock them in, they become untradeable so that you can't just continually flip them, obviously, but you don't lose out on those cards. So if mid to low 90s, Mark Messier is a reward for the Edmonton Oilers, obviously the Blackhawks or let's say Arizona would be a much cheaper option. So the reward for collecting all of the Arizona Coyotes, an 84 or 85 overall Shane Doan. Then, if you collect all of the Eastern Conference teams and Western Conference teams, that is how you get Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky. I think one of the biggest issues this year with icons was there was no way to actually acquire the ones you wanted. Other than purchasing them, and early on throughout the year, they were extremely expensive, but because of the boring upgrade tier system of +1 a month, which has just no creativity at all, they became very clear that those were useless cards because they did not keep up with the rest of the content. What this would allow you to do is keep all of the base cards so that you don't lose out on those cards and those players that you've spent a lot of coins trying to acquire, and you will get guaranteed icons by collecting them all. You collect all of them, you can get Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky. Now, the big thing about Hockey Ultimate Team and EA NHL as a whole is they have rights to so many different leagues. As you guys know, if you've been following my channel for quite some time, you know that I'm a big Niagara Ice Dog fan. I would love it if all of these cards also had a collection reward. Let's take the Niagara Ice Dogs. If you are able to collect all of the bronze, silver Niagara Ice Dog players, you can cash them in. Again, you don't lose them, they're untradeable. And you unlock an 85 or 86 overall Niagara Ice Dog Alex Pietrangelo or Dougie Hamilton. There's many options. Steven Stamkos Sarnia Sting, for example. I think this would finally give us value for packing bronze and silver cards, making sure that they actually have value when you're purchasing them or when you pack them. Right now, they are nothing more than just a way for EA to say, hey, OHL, we're promoting your players with useless cards. All right, now number 3 is going to be kind of a two-parter, but first, I would say a change up to the weekly cycle. And what I mean by that is currently the weekly cycle is play 50 Rivals games, play Hut Champs, or play Squad Battle. You can also play Hut Rush, but you get 2 weeks of that and the rewards are copy and paste and it just has no fun at all, and I would love to see Hut Rush improved. If you want to see my thoughts entirely on Hut Rush, you can go back and watch my Hut Rush proposal video where, man, they have so much potential with Hut Rush, and I just don't see them ever doing it. But nonetheless, let's pretend that stays the same. They need to change the weekly cycle. Now remember, we are going into NHL 23. Let's go back to NHL 20, which would be 3 games prior. Here is the current cycle for NHL 20. Squad battles, rivals, online seasons that offered basically no rewards, essentially the removal of comp seasons, Hut Champs, and Draft Champs was still in the game with no reward. That means if NHL 23 does not have a new mode, we are going to get the same weekly cycle that we've had for 4 games in a row. I don't know about you guys. I know that I've been pretty hard on NHL over the last year or so. That's ridiculous as a consumer to think that we're about to go and play the game the exact same way for 4 straight years. Now, my actual number 3 would be to add Draft Champions back. I think Draft Champs is a really fun mode, and I think as long as you offer up actual rewards for it, it can be a really, really entertaining mode. Now, for anyone that doesn't know Draft Champs or hasn't played it before, basically what would happen is you would get to draft a team of varying overalls. So you would get a high overall round. Let's say at launch of the game, you would get one of maybe Mario Lemieux or Wayne Gretzky. Again, there's multiple options each round. You select them, you get to use them for your Draft Champs run. But it goes all the way down and scales into like the silver cards even for the 4th line, so everyone's team is around the same overall. You then play games, and if you can win a certain amount of games before you lose 2, and your run is essentially over, you get varying guaranteed rewards that are actually worth it. If it worked in a season format, much like MLB does with their Battle Royale mode, let's pretend there's a Draft Champions tied to an event. I'll use Lit versus Grit, but let's say you get 9 wins in a row before losing 2 in Draft Champs during the Lit versus Grit season. You unlock an 89 or 88 overall Dustin Byfuglien. That's tradable. This would freshen up the weekly cycle. It would allow us to use cards that maybe a lot of us can't ever afford in-game, like Mario and Gretzky, or maybe getting to use some of the master set player items that are currently tied in the event before you have to go and spend an ungodly amount to actually acquire them. And it would give us, like I said, it would give us guaranteed rewards, which would be huge. All right, number 2, guaranteed rewards. Now, if you followed me over the last couple months, you know that this is the thing, that this is the hill I am going to die on as an EA game changer. It is simply astounding that the last time we had a guaranteed reward was NHL 19. Now, if you weren't around for NHL 19, there was something called competitive seasons, which is usually about a 2-week event. You played a season every week, and if you got, let's say, top 100, you got a guaranteed card for that competitive season. Since then, there is essentially nothing. There should be guaranteed rewards every single event. I think that one of the things that NHL does well is that every 2 weeks there is a new event that brings hype to the community. Everyone wants to know what it is. We get new master set player items, and I do think that that is actually an okay format. Here is how Rivals should work, in my opinion. Rivals should be 2 weeks long, or 1 week, depending on the event that's going on. And if you get into the ultimate tier, you should unlock a card via a choice pack that is tied to the event. Let's say the first event is from NHL 20, and it was that retro event, the NHL 94 event. You could choose from a bunch of different older icons that had, maybe 88 overall if the master sets are 90, and you can choose one for every position. Now, how do you handle if you're in a lower division? The card starts out lower. The system is already in place. Same cards. Let's say in Division 10, if you get Ultimate and you unlock those cards, they start at 82 overall. The cost to go up is still the same. However, if you're in Division 1, you don't have to actually spend this stuff to increase the cost. You're rewarded for being a top-end player, or depending on how you are, and it gives you a reason to actually grind and become a better player. But even if you struggle at the game, you still get access to these cards and you can still upgrade them. Squad battles, exact same thing. If you get top 100, you should get a card instead of just random packs that could leave you with absolutely nothing. Now, I get that you can turn those packs into guaranteed rewards via master sets. What's unfortunate about that is that it's insanely boring. That format is archaic. I hate it. I don't know how you guys feel. Getting a guaranteed reward would just give you an actual meaning to compete. Even Hut Rush, if you can get all the way to the end in Hut Rush in the 2-week span, give us an 86 overall guaranteed choice pack card, and that way you can flex on people that you actually completed the event. It's something to grind for. It's a reason to play. And guaranteed rewards just needs to be a thing. I'm so sick of the gambling that essentially goes on in EA NHL because everything is just based on packs. And if you don't have good pack luck, that sucks. Sorry, man. And now you've just invested all of this time, and what you got back was nowhere near the amount of rewards for the time that you input. So, guaranteed reward. And then finally, the parallel system from MLB. And I said this last year, and it was still my number one thing. This needs to be in every single Ultimate Team mode, not just NHL. If you're not familiar with MLB and the parallel system, here is how it works. Let's say you have Wayne Gretzky. He's 89 overall, and you love the card. You can pay to actually upgrade him like there is with the collectible system, which I think is awful. But what you could also do is earn XP by playing with that card, scoring goals, getting points, hits, all of that. And what that will allow you to do is move up tiers for free by just playing with the card. I think this would completely freshen up the game, and what it would allow you to do is, let's say I'm a Sharks fan, which I am, and I get an 83 overall Tomas Hertl. I perform well with him. I like the card. I want to keep using him throughout the year. But I know in a month, it's going to be absolutely impossible to keep up with anyone because Tomas Hertl's base card just can't compete with other cards. But if it could go up by a total of 5 overall by just performing and playing with the card in all modes, we've got ourselves a hell of a system. Now, guys, there are many other changes I would love to see. I would love to see the implementation of a shootout mode. I think that EA, even with Hut Rush, doesn't have a quick mode that you can play that allows you, A, to test out the cards that you want to test out. Let's pretend that there was a shootout mode, and if you grind it out 15 to 20 wins, maybe even 50, you got a guaranteed shootout legend Yuri Letnin card that you could only acquire by winning shootouts. I think this would be an easy addition. The mode's already in the game. Just let us play it. But like I said, there are many other things I would love to see in the game. Those are the 5 I think that aren't impossible to implement, and I would really like to see. But again, guys, this is about you. I want to know what you guys want to see in the future games of NHL, and I'm going to go through all of your comments in the next video, and we're going to talk about them. Again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.